Radio's own show, Behind the Mic. Radio. With a switch of your dial, radio brings you tragedy, comedy, entertainment, information, education, a whole world at your command. But there are stories behind radio. Yes, stories behind your favorite program and favorite personalities and radio people you never hear of. Stories as amusing, dramatic, and as interesting as any make-believe stories you hear on the air. And that's what we give you, the human interest, the glamour, the tragedy, the comedy, and information that are behind the mic. And now presenting a man whose name has been a symbol of the best in radio since the beginning of broadcasting, Graham McNamee.
Thank you, Gilbert Martin, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the radio audience. This afternoon, Behind the Mic shows you how a radio comedy broadcast is written. We bring you the sound effect of the week, a dramatization of an amusing little incident involving orchestra leader B.A. Rolfe. How a singing trio is being groomed for radio success by NBC. A salute to one of radio's favorite old programs, Whittall's Anglo-Persians, featuring the music of Louis Katzman. And finally, a dramatic story behind a broadcast by Tom Powers, well-known star of radio and stage. For those of you who wonder how your favorite comedian puts together a program, we're going to show you how this is sometimes done. And if you think it's easy, Gandhi is India's best-dressed man. And now, writing on a comedy program very often starts 2 weeks before the broadcast, as most comedians like to keep at least a week ahead of their scripts. Nowadays, a comedian may have, say, 2 main writers or more and a number of subordinate writers. Let's say we attend the meeting of a comedian whom we'll call Eddie McGee and his 2 main writers, Jack Pun and Joe Gagg, at Eddie's home, where they're getting their first program ideas.
All right, fellas. Now, what'll we do for our opening routine?
Well, how about some jokes about you going to the racetrack and losing your shirt?
No, I think that's been overdone. Comedians have lost their shirts so much, laundrymen are picketing the bookies.
I think he's right, Jack.
But look, I've got some good gags for it. How the racetrack had a beautiful infield, and after the 3rd race, you had it for lunch. Oh, another guy picks your pocket and takes your wallet and the list of the races you were betting on. Then the guy takes one look at the list, and he hands back your wallet with an extra dime for car fare.
Very funny.
Don't like it?
Didn't Bob Hope do something like that?
Well, so what? We'll twist him.
What twist have you got?
Well, instead of eating the infield after the 3rd race, you eat it after the 5th.
Oh, fine.
I don't like the jokes anyway for Eddie's program, Jack. Even your wife wouldn't laugh at him.
What do you mean, wife? I'm married to my jokes.
It'll never be a successful marriage.
Why not?
Your wife's older than you are.
Oh.
Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad. We can use that in the script.
Hey,
Keep it
boys,
in.
we're forgetting something.
What is it, Joe?
That's going to be the Washington's birthday program. We've got to have the first routine on George Washington. How you never tell a lie and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. Now, for our second routine, we'd better carry on the feud between Phil and me about the money I say I lent him.
Mm-hmm.
He still refuses to pay me back.
Yeah, we could carry that on for 2 spots.
Well, how about the last spot, fellas? We need a good sketch.
It's getting around income tax day.
And that's a goodie, an income skag sketch.
Yeah, if you can say it.
Yeah. Well, listen, suppose you fellas start thinking about that. I think we ought to...
There may be several other fellas, or perhaps enough of them to give us adequate national defense, working on the show, but their function is generally to submit jokes on subjects that the main writers and the comedians have selected. 2 or 3 days later, the main writers and the comedian get together again. Everything's been written except the sketch.
Here it is, Eddie. Here it is. Look, Joe and I have been talking this thing over, and we got a sketch that works out like this. Listen now. You come into the income tax office.
Yeah?
You've been looking through your income tax, and you find out that you didn't pay the government enough for 1938. You owe them $5.42. Well, now, being an honest guy, you want to pay the income tax department this back tax, which they ain't discovered that you haven't paid.
The income tax collector doesn't believe you.
Yeah, naturally. Well, that's good. Go on.
He says that probably the real reason you want to pay your back tax is that you're a crook. and that it's your way to ease your conscience.
Oh, say, I like that. There's always comedy in menace.
Well, it gets you sympathy.
Yeah.
That's what makes Jack Benny.
He thinks you're a criminal, so he calls the police station. In the next scene, you're in the police station being third degreed. The police are trying to find out what crime you committed.
And you keep saying that all you want to do is pay your $5.42 back income tax. We throw in a lot of gags back and forth.
Then the cops decide you're nuts. It isn't a case for them. It's a case for the psychopathic ward.
So in the next scene, you're in the psychopathic ward. You've been there a month.
A psychoanalyst comes in, and he starts to psychoanalyze you.
And after you psychoanalyze, the guy from the income tax department comes back. And he says that they studied your case, and they decided to let you go.
Yeah, but that's no punch finish.
Yeah, but that ain't the finish.
Oh, go
Listen,
ahead.
you go back to the income tax department, and the income tax collector isn't there, see?
He's out.
He's on a vacation.
Yeah.
There's a new man taking his place. You tell him that you're there to pay $5.42 back income tax. He starts giving you the same business as the first guy. He's just about to accuse you of being a criminal.
When you say, I'll save you the trouble, you grab the phone yourself and say, hello, give me police headquarters.
Hey, that sounds like the nuts. And I just thought of a great gag for the Psycho Lalances scene.
If you can say it.
Yeah, well, anyway, the doctor says to me...
Well, after the writers whip the sketch together, the comedian usually goes over it himself and makes changes and, working with his writers, gags it up or cuts it. And now some, although not all comics, have previews of radio programs. That is, about a week before the broadcast, they try out their script in a live studio audience, invited especially for that purpose. After the tryout, the main writers and the comedian get together at the comedian's home once more.
Say, did you fellas mark down the gags that laid eggs? I laid so many, I feel like front man for a hen.
Oh, go on.
Oh, no, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. If those wikis go out, it'll tighten the script. Then we'll get better laughs on the other gags.
And so the script is cut and strengthened. Meanwhile, the boys have started work on the following week's script. Then comes the broadcast, when the script, which the writers and the comedian have written, will stand or fall. And that, ladies and gentlemen, shows you how easily the spontaneous script you hear on the air is often ad-libbed. The sound effect of the week. From time to time, Behind the Mic presents some sound effect which was used on a program of the past week and tells exactly how it was done. On the program Manhattan at Midnight, the sound effect of a toboggan sled going down a slide was used. It sounded like this. This effect was made, believe it or not, by taking an ordinary pie plate